Hey everyone, Stephen Arthur here, and welcome to today's episode. Let's start with a question. What is the unique gift, skill, or way of thinking that sets you apart? Here's the truth. We all have something extraordinary within us, but so many people never learn how to tap into it. They feel stuck, they feel uninspired, or even just unsure about what they truly are capable of. And that's exactly why I'm excited for today's show. We're breaking down what it really means to tap into your genius, how to identify those natural strengths you might have or that you might be overlooking, but most importantly, how to see them, how to build them, and how to really make them purposeful and impactful. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a creative, or someone ready just to level up, this is about understanding what it takes to be truly extraordinary and learning how to own it as well. But first, a quick thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for supporting the show and for everybody that have shared their thoughts and tuned in. I've been a little bit quiet lately because I really want to create really good content and really good topics as well. Something really transformative and actionable, and hopefully you get a lot from any episodes that I pull out there. So please drop some comments down below of what type of episodes that you would like to see. Now let's get into it. Today we've got an amazing guest, Akeila Browne, the CEO of Akeila Browne Coaching, and she is an absolute visionary, and she's just an amazing person in general. I can't even lie. She really inspires, motivates, and builds women in such an amazing way. She's an advocate for the community, and I'm just really passionate about what she does and how much social impact she has on people, and I don't think you even know that. And it's a big honor that you're actually on the show. I'm very honored, and I'm working with her as well. I get the opportunity to work with her at this moment in time. So welcome to the show, Akeila.
Thank you. It's
actually really, I'm very excited to speak to you about this topic as well.
You know what? I'm excited to be here, and you're speaking about being honored that I'm here. I'm honored that I'm on the show with you and working with you as well. So
no, honestly, it's I'm still in a gassy mode, but the first thing that I do want to ask is based around the topic genius in essence. What is your ideology of genius? Because everybody sees that word as often sometimes intimidating because we don't really see ourselves as geniuses.
Yeah.
But what does genius mean to you as an individual?
Okay, so the first time I came across the word genius is probably the same as when everyone else came across it. It's about being really intellectual, being overly smart, and just being a genius at what you do. Then I read the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he talks about being in your zone of genius. So that's having the skills and the abilities that come naturally to you.
Yes.
And I'm like, right, okay, this is amazing, but there's something missing for me. What it didn't take into account was like your purpose, your soul, your essence, your energy. Didn't take that into account. So when I talk about genius, I refer to it as like our energy, our essence. It's more than our skills. It's more than our experience. It's who we are and the energy, what we bring it to. Ooh. So that's what I mean when I talk about genius. It's not an intellectual thing, it's an energy thing.
It's an energy thing. So how did you tap into your genius? Because I know that everyone has their own different walks of life in how they kind of they come into themselves eventually. What type of angle did you take when it came for you to tap into your own genius?
There was a defining moment when I tapped into my genius, and I've got so many stories to share with you.
Talk about the stories.
I've got so many. When I was in my 20s, I used to jump around from job to job. And my friends and my family, certain people used to call me a work whore. That's so out of order. A work whore. They're like, you can't stay in one place. You're jumping around from place to place. And I used to think there was something wrong with me. Like, why can I not stay in a job? And I never stayed in a job for longer than a year, ever. And I had my last child when I was like 28, 29. And I remember I was working as an information manager, at a university at the time. And I went on maternity leave with him, and I was sitting at home. It was in the middle of July. He was about 3 months old. I'm like, I can't do this no more. This is shocking. Like, I don't like my job. I don't want to go back. An information manager, that's not me. I'm not even organised. And I remember applying for jobs, and a job came up, and it said, you need your GCSEs. I hadn't had my GCSE certificates because that's just the kind of person I am. And I put my son into his pushchair and went back to my old secondary school. I went in there, standing at the reception. They were like, yeah, we'll get them for you, no problem. My head teacher comes along that used to teach me Spanish when I was at the school. Right. So I'm like 28, 29 now. He is exactly the same as I remember him. He walks past me, takes a double step back, and he's like, Akeila, oh my gosh, can't believe it's you. How are you? Come into my office. And he takes a pushchair with my son. So then he tells me, we go in, he's like, take a seat. Takes my son out of his pushchair, he's walking around with him. And he's like, so how are you? Like, I'm good. He's like, no, how are you really? Are you happy?
Whoa.
And it was like that question, like almost straight away. And up until this point, I would have told everyone yes. And I don't know if it's because he knew me when I was younger. He knew who I really was. I felt compelled to tell him the truth. And I was just like this.
Do you think he probably saw your genius before you even saw it yourself?
He saw it.
And
he saw it. Because the next question is what do you do for a living? I said, I'm an information manager. And he was like, how creative are you being? I'm not being creative at all. And he was like, let me tell you something. When you were at school, you were in the gifted and talented group. You always overachieved, but you had to be challenged. You know why? Because you spoke too much. It's like you're always talking, you always had something to say. But let me ask you, where are you being creative? And I wasn't. And that was the first almost coaching conversation I'd ever had. And from that moment, I went home and started to look at myself. Who was I when I was a little girl? What did I like? Why am I not being creative?
Exactly.
And that started me on this journey of finding my genius, who I was, and then helping others to find theirs.
Wow. You know what? I didn't even understand the concept of genius until I met you.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation about there's different stages before you get into your genius. Yeah. And the genius that I felt like I was in at a certain period of time was my excellence.
Yeah.
And that's all that I was in, like that constant lack of execution,
yeah.
but knowing that I could do all of these different things. Like, what was that type of period for you like, before you even got into your genius, is like the excellence part of it? Because I feel like you told me that a lot of people are usually in that, the majority of people are in that section. How did you transition from that?
Oh gosh, so your zone of excellence, for high achievers, it's a place that most of us get stuck.
Oh God, I get stuck, yeah. I've
We
got stuck
get
in there
stuck
a
in
few
there.
times. I can't even lie. A good few times.
Absolutely. So let me break it down for anyone that's listening about the different zones, right? So you've got the zone of incompetence, and that's where you don't really know how to do something. You could probably research it online, but you don't know how to do it. So if I had a leak at home, for example, in my bathroom, I wouldn't know what to do, what equipment. I'd just be there turning things. My zone of incompetence. Your zone of competence is when you know how to do something just enough to get by. And you could be okay at it. For me, it's like doing my taxes when I was self-employed. I could do them. Don't ask me to do yours. I can do them, no. Don't ask me to do it. Your zone of excellence is where most people get stuck. It's something you're amazing at.
Whoa.
For me, I was amazing. I'm really good at doing admin type tasks. I still am. I can organize things. I'm not the best organizer, but I'm really good at admin, creating things, creating documents, having the back end of a business. And I was amazing at that. The thing about your zone of excellence is because you're so good at it, it's alluring and it keeps you stuck. And for a lot of creatives, it doesn't involve their creative energy. And that's where your zone of genius comes.
Where it's like kind of an amalgamation of everything.
Of everything, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've entered that stage.
Of your zone of genius?
Yeah, I really do. Especially with regards to currently what we're building. It's the first time, I think I explained this in the last episode, it's literally the first time where I feel incredibly creative.
Okay.
It's like this burst of creativity has just come out of nowhere. Like probably it's a turning point for me where I've got these new skills that I had in comparison to the last 10, 15 years. And like that zone of excellence is a part where I understood that I'm really good at like operations and organizing stuff very well, and that kind of sharpened my skill set. But my creativity was disregarded a little bit. But now that I'm in something where all my passions kind of collide together, I feel like I'm in a space where I can use each skill, but I've adapted to really build the business a little bit more further. Like my way of thinking has changed, the dynamics of it, by just like kind of realizing all of these little pockets of things and bringing them together.
Yeah.
And it really makes a difference. It's almost like you kind of low-key finding yourself.
It does.
As cliche as it sounds.
It's a journey.
It's a whole
journey.
flipping journey. It really is.
It is. And what I loved about what you said, it's about that intersection of all of the bits of you. You were like, yeah, the creativity part got thrown before.
Exactly.
Right.
It does. When you get older as well, you do lose it. You lose that element of creativity. And I think that's something that's concerning to me. It's kind of because it's stifling people that don't have any creativity or that have lost it. It's hard for them to recover back from it.
Yeah.
And I know that you work with people that probably have lost their creativity.
Yeah.
How do you help people to reignite that again?
The thing is that we are all born creative. And most people I speak to think you need to be a certain type of person in order to be a creative. And it's going back to who you were when you were born. When you were a child, it's like you probably drew on walls. You didn't say, well, I don't know how to draw.
I did draw on walls, you know, and my mum cussed the hell out of me. Oh my God. So, you know what? She even cussed me. She was that vexed. She said that I didn't know, Stephen, if I wanted to beat you down and kill you. I just said, you know what? Keep on drawing on the walls. You'll get tired of it.
Yeah.
And I literally scribbled all over the walls. I knew I was a creative.
See,
from
how did I know that you scribbled on the walls, Stephen? I just knew. I just knew. But you know, all of us are born creative. But a lot of us lose it in trying to fit in, be normal, have normal jobs, and we lose that creative side of us.
Do you think that people around you stifle you being you unlocking your potential genius as well? Like, it depends on the company that you keep.
Absolutely, because you've got to think of it this way: your genius is you. Right? And a lot of people are conditioned to believe, and I say we, this includes myself, are conditioned to believe that we need to be someone else to be successful.
Exactly.
Look at that successful person over there. Look what they did. These are subconscious conditionings that we're having from the time that we're young. Right, in order for me to be successful, I need to follow what that person does.
Exactly.
It's following the blueprint, but keeping yourself in the process. So you have to have people around you that encourage you to be your true self. And it sounds cliche, because what is your true self?
Question, guys. What is your true self? I have no idea myself. Like, I think your true self is, I think it's little things. It's little pockets of things.
Yeah.
Almost, I keep saying this, little inflections. So with me, I'm a very random person at times. So I'm known to be kind of low-key random in the way that I do certain things, where it's like I'll wake up 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll start working because I just feel the need to do it. Or I'll decide, you know what, I'm going to cook a gourmet meal just out of nowhere. Or let's go on a holiday somewhere. Let's just go somewhere now. And I think that's what makes me very unique. But I can see how it kind of filters in different parts of my life as well. When it comes to being actionable and executing things like, let's get it off the cuff. Yeah. I think it's little things like that, and also like the people that I'm surrounded with as well. I think it's very important. They do make you in certain ways that you don't even notice. They mold you. So I think it's like different pockets.
There's different pockets of how we are depending on the environments that we're in. And I mean, a year ago I was doing this course, and it was all about it was a trauma responsive type course, therapeutic coaching. And I remember the lecturer in one of the first sessions saying to us, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest and just tell me what comes up. And she was like, what part of yourself are you killing off to be safe and belong with others? When she asked that question, straight away I'm like, nothing at all. I'm not killing off anything. I'm me 100% of the time. I went home, or came offline, sorry, and I was like, what? Actually, there's bits of me that I'm still not bringing in order to be safe or belong.
Exactly.
So as human beings, we do everything that we can to belong in groups, in communities, with friends, with family, with peers, everyone. And there's bits of us that we'll minimize in order to belong. And so when I'm talking about your true self, it's, well, what bits of myself am I not allowing to exist in order to be safe in these environments?
Flipping neck, Akeila.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I wasn't expecting that one. I think because there's certain versions of events that have happened where I'm thinking about it now, but there's a resistance with me. I refuse to be in that type of way of thinking.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why potentially I moved, so I could explore different opportunities that were out there for me to feed into my creativity.
Yeah.
So even when I did move to London, was a big part. Even when I did move there was an element that I was never privy to when living in Birmingham. So that opening up my mindset, it just changed the way that I saw things, changed the way that I wanted to do things, and made me a little bit more outgoing than I was before.
Yeah.
So I think it was that lack of exposure and understanding that, whoa, there's different circles that do X, Y, and Z. I can do this as well. I didn't know I could do that. I think that's a part of unlocking elements of your creativity as well.
Yes.
Exposure.
And you mentioned something real key there, is the environment. You know, if you stay in the same place that you grew up, surrounded by the same people who you grew up with, you never get a chance to experience what you might be like without that influence.
Are we ready for this conversation?
Yes.
Are we because
yes,
I got a few things to say for real.
100%.
Because it's really true. I mean, sometimes your hometown will stifle you.
Absolutely.
And probably it's due to family commitments, friends, and being afraid to literally step out there because you don't want to be judged by what you're doing, or you don't want to feel like you're above anybody. So you do stay in that same local bubble.
100%.
And it restricts you from, that's what concerns me about youth. I really want them to travel. If you've got the opportunity in going somewhere different as a young person, you need to experience new opportunities, new ways of seeing things.
They do. Because
it broadens your mindset. And then the issue is when you stay in one space, that's the only knowledge that you're getting.
Yeah,
literally.
absolutely.
We've got social media, but it's not enough to build actual experiences where you can actually improve your mindset. Yeah. Growth mindset.
Yeah. We've got to be able to tap into a new way of being, and social media, it can be used for good. There's kids that are watching different things, having access to people that we wouldn't have had access to when we were younger.
Exactly.
And at the same time, your environment, your physical environment is everything. I would say to all young people, if you get the opportunity to travel, go.
Please
travel. Opportunity to go into a new city, go. Like yourself, I moved to London and I lived down there for about 10 years. And I love Birmingham, you know. Some of you. Some of you.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, trust me.
I love the people that I love here. I really do. Moving to London taught me something completely different about myself. It taught me my levels of resilience in a way I've never had to tap into it. It taught me how to be creative. Londoners, they have such a go-getter attitude that Birmingham for me is a little bit more relaxed. London, it's go, 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 go.
Trust me.
And that's where I got that from, that energy.
Yeah.
And I was able to be who I wanted to be down there without the environment reminding me of who I was.
Or who you're supposed to be.
Or who I'm supposed to be. And that's what happens when you stay in an environment where you were born and raised. It reminds you of who you are, or who you currently are, who you were supposed to be in the past, who you were. It reminds you of that. If you're growing into someone new, you have to intentionally work on your mindset to go somewhere that you've never been before. Work on your physical to get out and go into environments that you've never been before. Do things that you've never done before. And you have to shift your environment to do that.
Only reason, because this is what I've done. These are the exact steps that have happened.
Snap.
So what is it like? You've come from London. You've probably found your genius, and then you come back down to Birmingham. How does that feel, knowing that you've adopted a new level of mindset, a new level of way of thinking, and then you move back to the hometown, even though obviously you've got family here, friends, everything's cool. Our hometown is our hometown. But how have you been able to navigate your genius when you've been exposed to so much in London?
I feel like the exposure did me well. I feel like if I stayed in Birmingham without going to London and getting that exposure, I would have been behind where I am. I always knew there was something more, but I didn't know what that more was until I just moved. And I did it and I got exposed to it. I feel as though coming back to Birmingham, I've got friends and I've got family who support what I do. I've met new friends, new family who support what I do. So there's no problem with that. But it's about me constantly reminding myself that I live down the road from where I used to live before. I live down the road from the school I used to go before. I'm not that person anymore though.
That's it.
And I still find ways to put myself in new environments to remind me of who I'm growing into. Because now I know that shifting environments makes you shift. So I use that information for myself all the time.
Definitely. How do you think that we can deliver it to people that want to take that step in being a little bit more creative, being a little bit more outgoing? Do you have any like kind of tips in what people or individuals can do that are probably not that self-confident in actually taking those steps?
The first thing I want everyone to do is to read a specific book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it's by Joe Dispenza. And he helps people to shift who they were into who they're growing into. Also, I want to suggest a few things that I suggest to the ladies that I work with. I've got a whole group called the Power Circle where we meet every morning.
Feel free, speak to the camera, let them know.
Every morning we meet online for 6:30. I do different months throughout the year. And we do like little identity shifts. So we do things like one day, rather than brushing your teeth with your right hand, brush it with your left. Break the habit of who you were. Instead of getting up in the morning and scrolling through all of your emails, write down everything that's on your mind and everything you're grateful for. Rather than having your diary, for all the entrepreneurs out there who've got businesses, rather than having your diary back to back with appointments, book in 10 minutes, 15 minutes before each one to do something creative, to do something grounding, to shift who you are.
Definitely.
You know, ask people around you what they would come to you for. Ask them what they see in you that you don't see in yourself. And they will start to give you information about who you really are instead of the person that you're always just being.
Exactly. From human observation, from a source that's just not you. How do other people perceive you as well sometimes? And it's not going to anybody and everyone, but like going to people that are genuinely have that eye of seeing you and your potential.
Yeah, people that care.
People that care. For
Yeah.
real.
When I do this work with young people, I say, imagine that you're a bottle of, let's think something healthy-ish, orange juice. You know your orange juice inside the bottle, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what other ingredients they've added in there. You wouldn't know if you're inside the bottle. It will take someone reading the bottle to tell you what ingredients are in there. Imagine that you are that bottle of some kind of juice. Ask people to tell you what are your ingredients.
My contents might have alcohol in it.
That's what mine do too. It's like a shot of rum, shot of rain. Mine do too. But ask people what the alcohol's like. Ask them what kind of alcohol that would be.
Okay then.
No, ask them.
Ask them like what's the ingredients? What's the contents of me?
Yeah.
Like that is so cool. So
absolutely.
Another thing that I did want to touch upon is emotional and resilience training.
Okay.
It's something that we've been speaking about and developing and designing. And I know that it's something that we personally feel should be like taught in today's current situation. And I wanted you to like kind of explain it from your standpoint, how effective and impactful it would be for people to learn about it as like a basic fundamental.
Oh, we need to. And you know what as well, I wanted to break down, before we go into why it's important to talk about emotional intelligence and resilience, I want us to also not look at this from the standpoint that, oh, we have to be resilient because of everything that happens to us. And what I mean by that, let me break it down a little bit more, is that as a black woman, I'm always getting complimented on how resilient you are and how resilient I am in this world of all the stuff that's happened. And I don't want that to be part of our identity, as in you can go through all this stuff because you're resilient.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about emotional intelligence and resilience, I'm talking about it from a slightly different standpoint. And that is, that in today's society, if you don't have emotional intelligence and you're not able to interact with people, you're going to find it difficult to get a job and move forward in business.
Exactly.
Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand your own emotion, but also yours as well. So if we're in a work environment and I'm doing something to piss you off and I'm not paying attention to it and I'm like, forget Stephen, I'm just going to do my thing anyway. There's going to come a point when you're going to be like, Akeila, get off my project.
For real?
I hope not, but
but
that's what would happen.
It's like that's what would naturally happen.
Exactly.
Because it's like we haven't established the right communication.
Absolutely.
Clearly, or there's clearly a disconnect.
Absolutely.
As a reason to why. Continue though, because we're going to go into it.
No, so that's what emotional intelligence is. So the program that we're working on is helping people to be able to read themselves as well as read others, which is important in teams and entrepreneurship.
Definitely, 100%.
But then you've also got resilience. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to hear no more often than you're going to hear yes.
Trust me, I've heard no so many times. I still hear no now.
Me too.
Still, it's a part of the game.
It's a part of the game. But if you're not resilient to that and you don't make it affect your self-worth, you're going to take it as, well, people are saying no to me. When resilience says, well, actually, how can I turn this no into opportunity?
Or what does that no mean?
What does that no mean? It's not going to be about you. It could be about a skill that you've then got the opportunity to go and learn. It could be, well, no, it's not for that person. It could be for someone else. So it's having that resilience that if I'm in business, I'm creating something new, how can I make sure that my self-worth is built up? So all these things that happen in business don't impact me.
Exactly.
They're just impacting how I do things within my business.
And I think that resilience part is so important because a lot of people, after they hear no, that's me done.
That's it.
I'm not, there's no, okay, then why? Why didn't it work out? Or why don't you want this service? It might be a personal circumstance from the person that you're trying to sell that service to.
Yeah.
Or it could be just going backwards. I always say this, look backwards, see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And don't let that no define what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
You've got to keep on going, you've got to keep on persevering. And a lot of individuals, like young and mature individuals, when they hear that word no, it's like a trigger, a fear that they can't go any forward. Like that is it. A no's a no. There's nobody else is going to want any service or so it puts them in this form of like this self-doubt.
A self-doubt and questioning their self-worth, and knows it can mean next one, next opportunity. It doesn't mean it's the end of you and what it is that you do.
When I hear no, I hear challenge accepted. It's like,
I
you want to play about? You really want to play? I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove that I can do this shit. And I'm going to do it exquisitely. Like, I feel like that's I don't know where I got that shit from. But
I love it though.
It's like,
And it's sprinkling everywhere.
When you sprinkle it and you're just like, oh, you want to test me. You want to really test my knowledge. But that I think that's based around the emotional support and the intelligence side that I've received from friends and family along the way. A lot of people, they don't get the opportunity to do that. And there's parts of people's... where am I going with this when it comes to that word no? Sometimes adversity plays a huge part in people like kind of going... like people challenging the no's as well. So sometimes it's not people being... like having everything that they've wanted. It's basically built around, okay, then I've had a hard life as it is. Like, I'm not going to accept this no for an answer. So there's an element of adversity that usually helps with you kind of even unlocking your genius and your self-worth that other people don't usually speak about. So you've got people that are like kind of incredibly like supported, know who they are because their family and friends, they've supported them, they've pushed all that love into them. You've got people that already know it, but they don't act on it because they probably haven't experienced elements of adversity to make them push further. They're comfortable. They haven't even been challenged with no lately. Then you've got people that literally have not had it.
1000%.
And they have pushed through and they will not stop pushing through.
1000%. And I find that. I find that people who come from adversity, come from some kind of struggle that's happened to them, it impacts their ability to find their genius. I'm going to say that the majority of the most creative people that I've worked with have been young people who come from inner city areas where it's deprived. where there's a lack of financial resources
and they make
and opportunities.
I think with that breeds a new level of creativity, which I personally feel is incredibly toxic at times. But if it's done right, if it's done correctly, you make some beautiful art from people's experiences and what they're going through, and the way that they kind of mold it into their own thing through their adversities. I find that extremely amazing.
Me too. There was something that you mentioned, and I would love to hear a little bit more about it when you said that it can be incredibly toxic at times.
Of course, because
what way?
people play into that trope of this struggle, like, and we've seen it in like music videos, rap, etc. Like we've seen it in fashion to a certain degree as well, and it does play into the mainstream. So there's nothing wrong with people. There's nothing wrong with speaking about, you know, where you're coming from or like what you've had to do to be creative, but embodying it and then like just becoming that person and not moving from it. That's where I usually sometimes have a problem. If you're going to be creative, how are you going to elevate that creativity onto a wider scale that could be understood? That's the reason why I like Kendrick so much. Yeah. Because he's done that in such a way where he's made it, you know, like there's elements of struggle with his stories, but also there's an art perspective of it, and it's grown and grown and grown. And I feel like there's one thing taking something from the hood, but how are you going to make it even more, like, more understandable, more relatable, and how you're going to build onto your knowledge and open it up. Little things like that. Do you get what I mean?
No, I do.
Did I explain it properly?
You did. I felt like I got it anyway.
Okay then.
I felt like I got it.
Hopefully you guys have got it too.
If not, they can ask some questions. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
No, but I feel that you've touched on a real important point, and for me, that's around identity, because there's a lot of us that have come from struggle, and I'm going to say us. I didn't struggle in the sense of my parents weren't around. It wasn't that kind of struggle for me, but it was more about the financial opportunities and not having a lot of money growing up. Yeah. And so you have to become creative. Me and my sister were speaking about it earlier about my dad literally making like dolls' houses out of cardboards, getting little images from Argos and putting it in there. And we played with that, and there was nothing making us think, oh, I want more, I want something else. It was all about being creative. He enabled me to be creative. Both of my parents did. Yeah. You know, so coming from a certain background, I see in the young people I work with, they have so many strengths. They have so much resilience in the terms of when they're hearing no, I'm not accepting that as a no. You know, like, how can we do this then? How can we move forward?
Exactly. Finding a different route.
Finding a different way.
Being agile.
And because that is part of them and their genius and their energy that they bring, they overlook it because it's not something that they've learned.
Or they've realised.
Then it's not conscious to them. So it's not until we do the work, they're like, hold on a minute. I'm bringing this energy of creativity mixed with ambition, mixed with soul, and that's my genius. Yeah, it is.
What do they call it? Is it unconscious consciousness?
Yeah,
there's what's the theory?
So the theory is you've got unconscious incompetence when you're not good at something, but you're also not aware that you're not good at it. Yeah. Then you've got conscious incompetence where you're not good at something, but you're aware that you're not good at it. Then you've got conscious competence where you're good at something and you know it. And then you've got unconscious competence when you become so good at it, you don't even need to think no more.
And that is the process that many of us go through without even knowing. Yeah. So, and that's the reason why emotional and resilience training is so important. Yeah. And it's something that I'm I'm incredibly passionate about. I feel like we do have a society that is in a mental state, poverty-wise. Yeah. And it's just sad to see there's a decline in people's confidence skills, like the way that they communicate with each other, the way that they see and deem opportunities. For me, personally, it's a cause for concern. Huge. The fact that having a simple conversation like this, having an actual conversation is a struggle to some people. Yeah, and they don't know how to articulate themselves in the best way possible. Do you have, before we wrap up, Do you have like free tips for somebody that needs to take those little steps going forward? Just free.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of finding a genius?
Not only finding their voice.
Finding their voice.
Because their genius is going to be hard for them. I know I'm getting really meta because you've got, like, finding your genius is hard enough, but I'm seeing people that I don't think they understand what their genius is at times, and it does requires a little bit of education around that. But
you know what? I'm going to challenge you.
You're going to challenge me?
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to say, let's imagine that this was easy for a minute. Let's imagine that finding your genius was easy.
Okay.
And the first thing that I want you to do is to think of all the stuff that you used to get into trouble for when you was at school.
Shit. I got in trouble for a lot of shit.
Okay.
I really did. Is that how you establish your genius?
One of the things, yeah.
Okay then. So, as a kid, I'm not going to lie, I was a bad kid. But I was looking back at it, I was quite intelligent with the questions and what I used to ask adults.
And here we are in a podcast as you're asking questions, just saying. Just saying.
And I was very outspoken as well as a kid. My mum told me one time back in nursery that I made all the other kids be quiet until the teacher came back inside the classroom.
But this is the thing, I can see that from the outside. I can see that.
Jeez.
So if you imagine you used to get into trouble for being quite outspoken and asking adults questions that other people probably wouldn't ask them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. It was always there.
It was always there.
And I'd be like, while all the other kids are playing outside, I used to love scribbling and drawing inside the classroom. I'd go to play eventually, but leave me to have my time just to draw.
There you go.
And just do my thing. I like that peaceful time. It gives me time just to be one with my thoughts when I'm drawing. It takes me to a different world.
Okay.
It's not escapism. It's more like, okay, then this is my safe space for me to do whatever I want. Some of my best work is done when I'm just by myself in my bedroom sketching.
So imagine, you just described your genius to me. Your genius is always there. It's not as hard as what you think it is. We're conditioned to think it's hard because we think it's something external. It's not, it's already here. So go back to when you were younger, and this is for the audience, go back to when you were younger and think about all the things you'd get into trouble for and all the things you loved doing as a child, and just write all of those down.
So all that badness is what makes our genius, basically. Because I'd be scribbling on the walls and everything. Like, I did a lot. I mean, painted the whole house black. So it says something about creativity and being daring as well. Having the audacity to do that and not knowing that you've got the audacity at such a young age to do what you're doing.
100%. So go through, when you find that when you were younger, write all of it down. Then I want you to go through your teenage, adult years, even like just a few years ago, and look for glimpses of all of that coming through. Wow. Every single time it's come through and you try to shut it down. Every time it's come through and you're like, right, I can't do that because I've got a job. Look at where that's trying to come through. And the third is to ask everyone around you, what do you notice about me that I need to know that I don't know about myself?
Whoa.
But only ask people you love.
Obviously, definitely.
Right? Yeah. So it's simpler than what you think it is. Simple, but extremely effective.
Akeila, I want to chat to you a little bit more, but I'm so conscious of time. We need to have another breakdown.
Listen, when you're ready.
I'm just really like, I feel like this is like the type of like content that I love to pull out there as well, because it's coming from somebody, you are very well versed within your field.
Thank you.
Like, honestly, I'm bigging you up even more because you deserve it. You deserve all the flowers. You've literally helped a lot of women go from A to B, and you've really expanded and helped them and supported them. So I just want to remind you of how amazing you are. And I see your genius like in blocked capitals. And I just feel like there's a lot of people would benefit from just having conversations with you as well, because it really helps. And this is a reason why I'm working with her. I even want to working with her, because she has a level of genius that could be really implemented to make life better for so many different people. Oh, so you've got that gift. You really do have that gift. And thank you so much for being a part of this episode.
You are more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, if you want to find out about Akeila, what's your Insta?
You can find me on Instagram at Akeila Browne. It's Akeila Browne, all one word.
Okay, then I'll tag it below as well,
Yep.
so everybody has access to it. Thank you so much for watching this podcast once again, and I hope that you've taken something back that you can really implement into your day-to-day lives. Everybody's worthy. Everybody is worthy
Absolutely.
of, exploring and finding out what their genius is. And I think it's important that you do, in a society where art is almost non-existent, it's very important that you're a part of recreating that art. We need it because it inspires us and it inspires people around us to want to do more and be better people. And I'm going to try my best to do that as well with every episode that I do. And once again, we're trying to build a community of forward-thinking people that want more from their lives, that want to tap into their genius, that want to explore different territories. So if you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe, comment. I really want to create some interaction, some engagement. Love you guys loads. Thank you for being a part of Mr. Arthur episode 5.
Come on.